Hey everybody, this is David Lobenstein. I am here once again with another edition of COVID Care. This time we are going to be working on one of the most amazing and tricky parts of the body, the neck and shoulders. And my aim here is to make it not tricky, to demonstrate to everybody that you can actually make your partner, your kid, your loved one feel wonderful in this area. No fancy tricks required. Okay, so we are joined once again by my delightful co-isolator Molly. Everybody say hi to Molly.
Hello.
I think she's as excited about this as you guys are. So, before we begin, for those of you who are joining me for the first time, I just want to mention the basic setup. We're going to be doing these techniques on whoever you are co-isolating with, and then I'm also going to be showing you modifications that you can do on yourself. Okay, so we'll cover both of those important possibilities depending on your quarantining situation. If you are with someone else, what you want is for them to lie down on a bed, but the key is, just as you can see here with Molly, is to have them lying face up, but then with their head at the corner of the bed so that you can sit in a chair with your legs essentially straddling the corner of the bed, okay? And that will mean that you can reach forward and do these techniques easily with your whole upper body, right? Without placing strain on your arms or your hands or your thumbs, because that's what we're trying to avoid. We want you to be able to make your loved one happy while you also still feel happy in your own body. So take a moment, position the phone or tablet however you want so that you can see me and so that you can have your partner in this face-up position at the corner of the bed. If you're on a couch or anything, that's fine too, but I find a bed is usually best in terms of keeping your own body mechanics, right? Then you want any chair that allows you to be at roughly the same level as them. So you want your elbows, your forearms to be almost flat, right, when you're sinking in and working on them, okay? So you don't want to be way up here and you don't want to be way down here, because either of those options will create more strain on your wrists, forearms, and hands, and that's, again, not what we want. Okay, so take a minute and find that position that is good for you. Like always, we are not going to be using any, fancy massage oil or anything. As you guys know who have worked with me in the past, I find that the work is actually more effective when you don't apply anything to your loved one. So instead, what I'm going to suggest is just find your favorite hand cream and just give a little bit of cream or lotion to your own hands, and that will likely be plenty for the work that we're going to be doing. Because as you guys will see, it's actually the slow sinking that gets the most results rather than any big fancy gliding movements, okay, that might, look cool but actually don't often feel all that good. So we are going here on the concept that less is more, and you are going to see that as soon as you begin working on your loved one. All right, there's a glare from behind me, so I'm gonna just close the blinds here. check this out. You want to make sure that your partner is warm, so make sure that you're covering them with a sheet or a sheet and a blanket, whatever they need. You want them to be as comfortable as possible. You want them to have their top off, bra off, or pulled down, okay? Because as you'll see, what we need access to the pectoral muscles, right? Those muscles just underneath your clavicle. So obviously we're not going to be working on breast tissue, but we're going to be working just an inch or two below the clavicles on those pectoral muscles. And those are, as we're going to see, key to making the shoulders and the neck feel a little looser, a little more pliable, okay? So do whatever or partners do whatever you need to do, right, so that you're giving your massage therapist access, right, to that band of muscle just below the clavicles. Lying face up is not always comfortable for people, especially for a long period of time. So we're going to take a pillow, plump it up, okay, and then place it directly underneath your partner's knees, right? So have them lift up their legs, slide this under their knees, and that will help to take some of the strain off of the lower back and the hips that we sometimes develop when we're lying face up, okay? For those of you who are pregnant or who are in a different situation where lying flat on your back is impossible or is uncomfortable, you can do all of these techniques sitting in a chair or lying on a couch where you're tipped back slightly, okay? So the key in this instance, for those of you who are the massage therapist, is that you want to be located behind them, right? So even if they're at that semi-reclined or fully sitting position, right, you want to be standing behind them so that you can essentially sink your arms over their head and still have access into this area, okay? So, now that we've gotten the logistics out of the way, let's dig in, okay? And digging is a really important word here because digging is not what we want to do, okay? Chances are everybody who's watching this is feeling tension, right? We don't need to go into the reasons, right? And chances are all of us are feeling at least some of that tension right here in the tops of the shoulders, all the way up along the neck, into the base of the skull, down behind, into the back between the spine and the shoulder blades, right? These are like minefields of tension. And so oftentimes it can seem like what we want to have done to us is we want someone to just dig and dig and dig and dig and dig as hard as they can into those spots of tension. The problem is that our most basic nervous system, the lizard brain that we have had for millions of years, right, feels that as a threat. And our first instinct when we feel a threat, right, is our fight or flight or freeze response, right? Our body feels something that feels like it could be threatening us, that feels like it might injure us, and what does our body do? It goes... Our body tightens up in response to too much aggressive digging. And therefore, all of the work that we're trying to do is irrelevant, right? All of our best efforts as the massage therapist are undone, okay, if we are digging too hard into our partner. So instead of digging, we are going to be thinking of sinking. Okay, all of our work is going to be sinking, which means instead of just jabbing our fingers or our fists into our partner, we are going to be finding that place of tension, just making contact, and then just like always, following our exhale and sinking our whole body weight into our partner. So you guys can feel this with me right now. I want you to notice the side of your partner's neck and then that spot where the neck becomes the top of the shoulder, okay? Right about here on yourself, right? Again, we all have tension there right now, right? So I want you to make a fist nice and soft so you're not clenching it, okay? But make that fist. Your thumb can just hang out right on top of the fist. It's not important here, okay? Place those digits, right, those knuckles, right at that spot where neck becomes shoulder. Don't do anything. Place the other hand, soft fist, into that spot on the other side. And then, like always, as you guys already know, the key here is you and your happiness, your comfort in your own body. So before you do anything, you're going to take a nice easy inhalation, feel your spine lengthening up, and then think of hinging from your hips so that you're just on that next exhalation, sinking your body weight into that top of the shoulder. You're not trying to make anything happen, you're just sinking your body weight. Okay? If this feels uncomfortable for you for some reason, check your own body position. So you want to be sitting in the seat, right? It'll actually be most effective if you're at the very front of the seat, so you can feel your sits bones underneath you at the edge of the seat, okay? That'll encourage you, instead of flopping down and then pushing with your arms, sitting at the front of the seat will encourage you to sit up tall in your spine, to be sitting right on your sits bones, okay? And then to hinge from your hips, okay? Exactly the same as when we were working on the back last week, right? All of the work is happening from your hips rather than by bending your spine to make the movement. So your spine is going to stay long and loose. You're going to hinge from the hips. Go back into that same starting point. Soft fists at the top of the shoulders, and just inhale your spine long and loose, and then exhale and sink your body weight forward. Easy does it. Now check in with your partner, see how the pressure feels to them, adjust as needed, and then you can begin to sink side to side. So maintaining that contact with the tops of their shoulders, now think of sinking first with the right side of your body. And then sinking with the left side of your body, so that their head is swiveling ever so slightly as you alternate the pressure. Nice and easy, back and forth. No one is going to complain if you keep on doing this for a minute or two or three. Those of you cat lovers out there, you can think of this like when a cat is stretching and kneads, right, against your favorite couch cushions, right? It's their whole body kneading back and forth, okay? That's the key. So, once again, your whole body hinging at your hips and sinking is going to be the basis for all of these moves. Now, if you want to get a little bit fancier, you can. You can use your thumb instead of those knuckles, okay? But the key here is you're not doing anything with your thumb. You're not actually moving at the thumb joint. You're holding your thumb in place and you're continuing to make the movement happen with your whole upper body, okay? So, you guys remember those puppets that you would draw on your hands, right? That we talked about in the very first demo back before the internet existed, and we thought that this was cool, right? So you're going to place your thumb in that same position so that it's draped over your forefinger, okay? That way your thumb is stable for everything that you're doing. Your thumb's not doing any of that wacky movement, which is why our hands and our fingers and our thumbs start to hurt when we try to give a good massage. Instead, you're going to keep your thumb stable and balanced on here, supported on your fingers. And then you can come into the exact same position, but instead of thinking of contacting with the digits, feel that thumb sticking out ever so slightly further and make your thumb that point of contact. So once again, just making contact, no pressure, feeling your thumb, okay, on that top of the shoulder spot, and then sinking on that next exhalation, thinking of sinking your body weight, pouring your body weight into the thumb, letting the thumb sink into what will no doubt be tight spots on the top of the shoulder. And once again, once you feel that ability to sink, you can check in with your partner about the pressure, and you're welcome to experiment with this kneading ever so slightly back and forth. Right side, left side, right side, left side. Good. Easy here. Excellent. And as we go along, if you guys have questions, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments. If I can't get to them right now while we're live, I'll make sure that I get back to you or I address them in the next session on Wednesday. Okay? So you can be as specific as you want to here, using your whole soft fist or using your thumb, but making sure that thumb is supported on the soft fist. Molly, how are you feeling here so far?
Great, you can go deeper.
Deeper, excellent, good. So here, if your partner wants that deeper pressure, right? Remember, we're not going to try to all of a sudden force with the muscles of our arms. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to push our chair a little bit further away from our partner, okay? Because then what happens, just like those of you who are with me for the back demonstration, when we step away from our partner, it means that when we sink in now, we're sinking with more of our body weight. Okay? Whereas if we're closer, we're sinking with less of our body weight, right? Just physics, okay? But physics are really important here. So adjust your chair away from your partner if they want more pressure. If they want less pressure, inch your chair a little bit closer to the edge of the bed, okay? So we have sunk into those spots of tension right at the top of the shoulders. You can do this for as long as you have the patience or until your kids start banging on your door, right? Your partner is not going to tell you to stop if you're doing this from your whole body, right? If it feels good for you, it's going to feel good for them, okay? Now, in addition, let's do that same sinking into the pectoral muscles, okay? So, keeping those soft fists, right? Both hands, I want you to find the clavicles of your partner, right? Those little bones that are just below the neck, right? So they're running from the sternum, right, in the center of our rib cage, all the way out to our shoulder joint, right? You can usually even pick them up with your fingertips, okay? So those are our clavicles. The pectoral muscles are just below the clavicles, right? As we're going down towards the nipples, okay? So I want you to feel the clavicles, make those soft fists. This area is very delicate, can be very sensitive. People can feel very vulnerable here. So you want to once again just make contact here, not do anything. Take that easy inhalation and then pouring, sinking your body gently forward on the exhale, kneading back and forth, right side, left side, making sure you check in with your partner. The key here is we get very focused on where we feel the tension. So typically in the top of our shoulders or in our neck, right? We don't often feel tension here in the pectoral muscles, okay? But when we can sink into the pectoral muscles and make the whole front of the chest more pliable, it means that the tops of the shoulders become more pliable as well. And so because we can dig all we want, right, into the tops of the shoulders, that stress, that tension is still going to be there if everything else is incredibly tight, okay? So by sinking into everything else, right, we allow these muscles to continue to release on their own. And that's what we want. So that's why I don't want you just to dig right where your partner feels the tension. I want you to also attend to this area across the top of the chest. And as you will see, when you take a minute, ignore my voice and just notice what your partner is doing. Chances are, if you are following your own easy exhale, you'll notice that your partner's exhale is softening and lengthening too. And it's that ability to enable our partner to find that lower, slower, deeper exhalation. That is what's really going to allow those tense spots to relax. Because it doesn't matter how much time we spend working on these muscles, right? If our partner is still constantly thinking about things, trying to figure out what's happening next, right? Feeling that stress and that anxiety that are so endemic to our moment right now, there's no way that our work is going to make any difference here, right? But if we can just sink easy into these pectoral muscles, just an inch or two below the clavicle, and allow our partner, remind our partner to feel that ease, to feel that very bottom of the exhalation. That's when we get out of that stress cycle, that anxiety cycle. That's when we really enable our muscles to sink down to a more neutral position. That's when we really can start to let go of some of that chronic tension that we're feeling. So, just as with the tops of the shoulders, there's no shortage of good stuff that you can do to the pectoral muscles. If you're feeling good about using the soft fist, you can also experiment by using the tips of the fingers. So unfold your soft fist, feel these fingers supporting each other. So you're not doing anything wacky with your fingers, you're just keeping them in this long line with the rest of your body, right? With the rest of your arms. You're feeling the clavicles here, okay? And then just below the clavicles, you're slowly sinking down into those pectoral muscles. You can do this as close to the sternum as you want, right along the center, right? The middle of the ribs, the middle of the rib cage, okay? That feels really nice and can also be quite tender, okay? And then, there we go, good. Letting that exhale follow all the way down to empty, good. And then you can also do that coming farther out, farther towards the shoulder blades, toward the shoulder joint, right? Those pectoral muscles are wrapping all the way around to the front of the arm. So you can also sink all the way out, almost like you're heading towards your partner's armpits, okay? And that will also be a beautiful way to sink into the pectoral muscles. So there's no shortage of work that you can do anywhere along the pectoral muscles, from the sternum in the center of the rib cage all the way out to the shoulder joint. So I encourage you to explore anywhere along there, but making sure that you are sinking, following your own exhale, rather than digging or pushing, okay? So this is the first kind of sinking, okay? Where we are using our body weight to sink down into the musculature of our partner. But there's a second kind of sinking. And that's where we scoop underneath our partner's bodies and we lift ever so slightly their body up onto our hands and onto our fingertips, and we just hang out and we allow their body to sink down into our point of contact. So let me show you what that looks like. What you're going to do here is you're going to think of creating a scoop with your own hand, the way that you drink water from the faucet maybe after you've brushed your teeth, okay? So create that scoop. Your fingertips are going to be pointing up to the ceiling. That makes sense? So when you do it with both hands, you're going to have two scoops side by side. Imagine that Molly's spine is directly in between my two hands, my two scoops, okay? And her shoulder blades are on either side of me. So all you need to do is create this with your own partner, okay? So find those scoops, right? And then, because the bed is a little squishy probably, right? Think of just squishing down, right? So that you create that ability to scoop underneath your partner, okay? So what you want to feel is your pinkies, right, should be able to, if you feel around a little bit, your pinkies should be able to feel the spine. You should be able to feel those bony nubs of the vertebrae that are directly running along the center of the back, okay? And then your forefinger, right, and your thumb should be able to feel that broad expanse of the shoulder blade, right? So that's how you know that you're in the right position. The spine is in between your hands, and then on either sides of your thumbs are the shoulder blades, okay? That's it. It doesn't matter where you are on the back because it'll all feel good, okay? The key here is that you scoop in between the spine and the shoulder blades, right? Then make sure that you are bringing your fingertips so that they're pointed up towards the ceiling. If your hands are flat, then your partner won't feel anything. But imagine again that you're scooping to take that drink of water from the faucet. Your partner will immediately be able to feel the difference when your fingertips are raised up towards the ceiling, okay? This is a relatively easy position for your hands because remember, you're not doing anything with your fingertips. You're just creating that scoop, and then it's like a platform, right? You're letting your partner's back sink down into that scoop shape, okay? You're just giving them the option, the platform, for their tight muscles to slowly soften into you. Make sense? Now, once again, the key is to feel comfortable in your own body. So I want you to get that scoop position, feel your fingertips pointing up to the ceiling, check in with your partner to make sure that they can feel this, right? That they can feel your fingertips, okay? And then you're just going to rock ever so slightly back and forth. So notice here how I'm hinging, I'm moving from my hips, right? My back is straight, and I'm just creating this pull and sink, pull and sink, ever so slightly. So I'm very slowly coming up towards the neck. But it's taking me, as you can see, a minute or two, right, to get from that spot between the shoulder blades, and then now I'm about to slide out from the shoulders, and now I am up on the neck. I'm doing the exact same thing here. I'm keeping my scooped fingers pointing up towards the ceiling, but now I'm just in that smaller musculature of the neck rather than the back. And then I can continue to take this gentle rocking back and forth all the way up to the base of the skull. And then I can rock even more gently, even more slowly here. Nice and easy, almost like an imperceptible motion at the base of the skull. You don't want your partner to feel like they are on a ship that is suddenly in storm-tossed waters, right? You want your partner to feel like they are lying on a dock in the middle of a lake with just the ever so gentle ebb and flow all around them. So now let's go back to the start of this second kind of sinking, and let's do it all together. So feeling that ability to scoop in your own fingers, squishing the bed down. Sometimes it's easier to do it one hand at a time until you're sliding into that position. Remember, anywhere between the shoulder blades will feel good, okay? Point your fingers up towards the ceiling. Imagine you're creating that platform, right? Your fingertips are pointing straight up. Your fingertips are holding those tight muscles of the mid or upper back. They're not doing anything. The fingertips are not moving back and forth. They're just creating a platform for your partner to sink and soften. So then, you're just waiting. Checking in with your own body, okay? If you're feeling uncomfortable in your own body, it's probably because your body is looking something like this rather than here. So think of tipping your pelvis forward, sitting at the edge of your seat, allowing your spine to lengthen and loosen so that your back is long and straight, feeling comfortable in your own body, and then feeling your feet firmly on the floor so you're fully supported from top to bottom, and then gradually creating that rocking movement ever so slightly from your hips. So you're not dragging your fingers up the spine, you're just letting your fingers move as your partner's musculature is softening and sinking. Never forcing, just rocking and allowing that movement up the spine towards the neck to happen as the body needs. Following your own exhalation nice and easy down to empty, making sure your own shoulders are sinking, softening. You can always rock your own head back and forth ever so slightly. Following that exhalation, if you're feeling tense in your own body. And then gradually you'll come up, so your thumbs will actually leave from underneath the shoulder blades, right? And then your fingertips will start to leave too. They'll start to be more on the neck than on the back. But you keep your fingers in exactly the same place in that scooped position, and you maintain that easy rocking movement slowly, slowly. There you are. And then letting, once again, the tissue slide out from under you and continuing your way as you rock up to the base of the skull. You probably won't be able to scoop with all of your fingers because the neck is so much skinnier, right, than the back. So you can just scoop with your middle finger or your ring finger or your pointer finger, whatever is most comfortable for you. And then you're coming all the way up to the base of the skull. So you'll find that you probably want to ever so slightly lift your partner's head just slightly so that you can put the palms of your hand underneath the back of their head, okay? So you want your partner to feel like you have total control over their head. You're supporting them, balancing them. And then if you're having trouble finding this base of the skull, think of finding it in your own body. So let go of that scooped position. Bring your own hands, your own fingers up the spine, and then you should be able to find a spot where it's still muscle before we get to the bone of the skull. And it's in that spot right where the muscle ends. That there is the base of the skull, okay? It's that stripe all the way along the base of the skull where we have a series of muscles called the suboccipital muscles. Sub because they're underneath the occiput, the base of the skull. These muscles are constantly working to stabilize our head and keep us in place. So they are pretty much always tight, especially these days. So if you can just create that scoop and let your fingertips sit right on the suboccipitals, once again, you're creating that platform for the suboccipital muscles. You're just giving your partner your presence. You're not digging, you're not twiddling your fingers at all. You're just giving them that sense of presence, of knowing that they can let go as they are ready. Making sure you're following your own breath, staying as relaxed as you can in your own body, and if you want to, ever so slightly, back, forth, back, forth. Just moving your upper body an inch or two. Again, it's almost imperceptible, but you're just encouraging your partner to get out of those habits of holding and allow these tight muscles to sink and soften. This can be very subtle, but can be a tremendous relief if you just create that position of comfort in your own body as the massage therapist and enable your partner to feel that they have nothing to do except follow that exhalation down to empty and sink and soften. That is it. Some people will start to relax. You'll literally feel those muscles softening quite quickly. Other people, you'll need to do this several sessions before they start to really soften. So don't be frustrated or concerned if your partner still feels hard as a rock after this. Okay, it's okay. This is a process for all of us. But again, it's creating that presence for your partner, giving your partner's musculature that awareness that they don't need to be in that fight or flight or freeze mode, right? That they can just let themselves sink down to the very bottom of the exhalation. And then whenever you're ready, you can continue that soft rocking back and forth and allow your hands to slide out from the base of the skull. I think this is, a particularly nice time to just give a little scalp massage since we're right here anyway. Slowly and easily. Once again, I'm not moving my fingertips, I'm moving my whole body, and my fingertips are just slowly sliding back and forth over the skull. As always, the key is that less is more. Your partner won't also complain if you end here just holding both the skull, however is comfortable, and then sinking into the chest, the pecs as well, very gently, reminding the body of its entirety, head to toe, reminding us that we can find this ease even amidst the intensity of these days. And then ever so slightly, as you're ready, on your next inhalation, you can gently break contact with your partner's body and then slowly release away. And say thank you to your partner for the gift of being able to work on them. Thank you, Molly. Now, I want to just mention ever so briefly that you can also do this on yourself. A few demos ago, we worked with 2 balls and a sock, right? So you can go to my YouTube channel, Body, Brain, Breath, and you can find the demo called 2 balls and a sock, okay? It's very simple. Take a long sock, you put a tennis ball or some other kind of a little bit of squish, but not too much squish ball, right? In the bottom, you tie a very tight knot, as tight as you can, then you put a second tennis ball in and a second knot, okay? What's amazing about these balls is that they can create both of those kinds of sinking that we've been talking about today. So first, you can lie on your back and you can place these balls just where our scooped fingers were. So the balls can be on either side of the spine, in between the shoulder blades. And you can just lie flat on the floor. Don't do it on a bed because it will have too much squish to it, but do it on a floor, and you can just, again, follow that exhalation and let your body sink into the balls. So the balls are like our scooped fingertips. The balls are our platform, and we're just letting our muscles sink down. The key here is you're following that breath easy, softly, all the way down to empty. That's where the good stuff happens, okay? You can use those balls anywhere on the back, from the sacrum all the way up to the shoulders, and then even into those suboccipital muscles that we were just talking about at the base of the skull, okay? These can be a tremendous asset if you are isolating by yourself. But that's not all. You can also use these balls on the front of your body. So if you find your sternum, right, the center of your rib cage, okay, think of the center knot as being where the sternum is. These 2 balls will automatically be on your pectoral muscles. So you can find the clavicles here, come just below the clavicles, and then if you lie down, face down onto the floor, once again, the balls will be your platform, and your body weight will be encouraging those pectoral muscles to sink down into the balls to feel that release and that relief. Okay, so doing it both on the back of the body but also on the front of the body is a really great way to once again create that pliability all the way around the shoulder girdle, right? Both anteriorly and posteriorly. And that will allow these spots to start to sink and soften and feel less intense. And that's what we want, right? Our knots, our tension are not going to magically go away, especially not anytime soon, right? But when we attend to our muscles, when we allow our body to really sink and soften all the way down to the bottom of the exhale, we can remind ourselves, just like we can remind our partners, of that capacity that we have to find ease, even amidst this madness. And that's what we all need, a little more ease in our days. So I want to thank you all for coming. I want to give a special thanks to the Skint, which is an amazing newsletter that comes out several times a week. Theskint.com, SKINT. They featured me a few days ago on their newsletter, and I'm greatly appreciative of that. If you don't already subscribe, go to theskint.com and sign up. They have a mammoth list of all things streaming that we also desperately need for education and culture and distraction these days. So thank you, Skint. And thank you all for giving me your brains and your bodies in this crazy time. I will be back on Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, and we will do some even more fun, fancy tricks for the neck, the pecs, and the shoulders. I look forward to seeing you then. Bye bye.